Alexandria, among other places. Visiting these places helped me and my colleagues to gain a lot of experience, and we met new people that I am very happy to have met. Meeting my colleagues here at the Saudi Arabian Students Club was very convenient. It was a meeting place for all current students and newcomers to Egypt. We always meet and discuss many topics and issues. I like going to popular traditional places here in Egypt. There are so many, but my favorite is Al Hussein. I find myself in that place. It's always crowded and filled with visitors from all over the globe. This area is far from the hustle and bustle of the city and the traffic and noise of the Egyptian streets. I feel relaxed over there and I always go with some friends.
Khalid and Abdul Majid often take the opportunity to enjoy the walk through the narrow streets of Khan al-Khalili. They also enjoy bargaining with the shopkeepers to get the best prices they can. Sometimes they enjoy shopping around or looking at different things.
Frankly, I am happy to have met a lot of people in Egypt. Although I have a lot of friends back home, but I have met more people here because I visited more areas in Egypt than I ever have in Saudi Arabia. This is one of the things I really value about being here. I have made many friends that I really appreciate and who are very valuable to me. As far as I'm concerned, if I made one true friend during my stay here, I feel that I have achieved a lot. Thanks be to God, you can't imagine how many friends I made over here. I met people from many countries, including my dear friend Khalid, whom I met in Egypt. We shared many courses and lectures until we became very good friends, and we visit each other a lot. I also have other good friends, some of which have already gone back to Saudi Arabia, but I have formed excellent relationships with many of them. When I came to Egypt, I also visited a lot of my old Egyptian teachers and professors who used to teach me in high school and university in Saudi Arabia. I also visited some workers I used to know who previously worked in Saudi Arabia. I was also lucky to visit many places and cities in Egypt. I advise anyone who comes to Egypt to get out of Cairo and not to limit himself to one area or city and think it is enough to know Egypt through it. People must mingle with the Egyptians on the streets and go out and visit different places and governorates. There are many beautiful places and sceneries. The least you will gain is to learn about a new place and new people and new traditions and cultures.
When it comes to a rich cultural exchange, Egypt is without a doubt an ideal place for students to experience new things. Cairo is known as the City of 1,000 Minarets, owing to the large number of Islamic monuments found around there. As the largest city in North Africa and the Middle East, the locals refer to Cairo as the city that doesn't sleep. You can never feel lonely in Cairo. For Khalid and Abdul Majid, living here differs to a large extent from living in any other city in the Middle East, let alone the relatively calm cities of Saudi Arabia. But the busy city does have an unequivocal charm that attracts people of all tastes and moods.
I first visited Egypt in 1999. I wanted to enroll in the Navy Academy in Alexandria. This was right after I finished high school, when I was not mature enough yet. But now, after I completed my BA, I am much more mature and capable of handling living conditions alone. It is not easy to live away from home. It feels like you have been uprooted from your homeland to live somewhere else, with new people, even if those people were Muslims and their traditions are close to ours. Being away from home is still harsh, nonetheless. I advise anyone who studies abroad to be careful during the first period of his stay. The first year is always the most difficult one. If he overcomes it successfully, then I am sure he will be able to live very well to the extent that he might long to come back to Egypt after he leaves to re-experience life here. It is a great opportunity to learn and come back home with something concrete to give back to your country and people.
It was a difficult decision for Khalid and Abdul Majid to seek a master's degree outside of Saudi Arabia, because leaving your country to study abroad comes with its own set of worries, especially if you are not used to living on your own. Despite the anxieties that occupied their minds for some time, not to mention the heaviness of feeling how much they will miss their birth homes and loved ones, they both purged their minds of all delusions and worries, set their goals, and packed their bags, traveling to Egypt to fulfill their academic dreams.
Missing your family, especially your parents, is a very overwhelming feeling. This is mostly felt when I wake up in the morning because I long for my country and family. There are many feelings I can't explain. Like longing for the smell of my mother's fresh baking, which is something I used to smell every morning. But in the end, I have a goal that I've come here for. A goal which I will accomplish, and then I will return home with a lot to give back into my society. This is really important. Every person must decide what his goal is and how to achieve this goal, and make allowance for the difficulties you will encounter in the process and how to overcome them. Another important factor is to respect the laws of the country you are in and to be a good example for your people, because you are an ambassador for your people in that country. I must also say that even though they are far, my family helped me get through this with their great support. My mother and my wife, especially my wife, who stood by me through it all. Again, I say the first period is always the most difficult to overcome.
Khalid likewise thinks highly of his best friend.
I have a very loyal friend whom I cherish very much. Abdul Majid always visits me, and he's one of the people I admire and cherish the most. He normally brings his children, and we also go out, and it feels like a family outing inside Saudi Arabia.
Khalid and Abdul Majid are both seeking a program relevant to their academic and career goals, which they were both lucky enough to find at Cairo University. They are studying what they believe will be very beneficial, not only to their futures, but to their country as well. For many years, they have set a goal for themselves and worked hard towards achieving it, knowing that there may be many sacrifices on the way. It is essential for students to choose an appropriate program to get the most out of an international experience. Because there are a variety of program types, structures, locations, and requirements, it is worth taking the time and effort to find a program that meets your individual academic and personal needs. In Khalid and Abdul Majid's case, they have undoubtedly taken the time to consider what is in their best interests.
The title of my thesis is Developing the Administrative Performance of University Leaders at King Abdulaziz University. Frankly, I really wish to present and contribute to the development of my country through my humble thesis, which I hope will contain a lot of value that will contribute to other researchers who are interested in such a topic. Thanks be to God, I am currently in the final stages of completing my study. My thesis was supervised by a number of specialized committees, and it was edited accordingly, and it was enhanced so it would become a valuable and reliable source for other researchers and those who are interested in it.
Abdul Majid's chosen subject of study is completely different to Khalid's, but surely just as important for Saudi Arabia.
My master's is about self-appreciation in relation to social worries and future anxiety among high school visually disabled students in Saudi Arabia. My study is based on standards I developed in Jeddah and in Riyadh, in King Saud Center, and in other specialized institutions all over the kingdom, and Asir province as well. I feel that blind people, thanks be to God, have been given a lot of necessary attention and education. But recently, other group of disabled people, like those with Down syndrome and learning disabilities, have been given more attention. My study will discuss this issue and how such students value and appreciate and view themselves, and whether social pressures have an effect on their self-realization and appreciation. My study is aimed at showing whether there was a problem or not.
There are many advantages and drawbacks to studying abroad. However, a degree is not the only worthwhile factor to consider when weighing up the decision. The experience gained from living away from your parents and having to fend for yourself is invaluable and sets you in great stead for later in life. Of course, with such freedom comes responsibility, which is something no one can teach you. Rather, it is something that you gain in time, which to many constitutes the fine line between success and failure.